Money, fame, and success. NBA superstar Ja Morant had it all. From being an unranked high school senior to becoming a two-time NBA All-Star, Morant's rise has been as explosive as his dunks. But a string of bad decisions and questionable Instagram Live videos have recently put the Memphis point guard in hot water. Is Ja really going to throw it all away for some street cred? Or can the South Carolina native clean up his act and get back to doing what he does best? Ever since he was drafted by the Memphis Grizzlies in 2019, Morant has taken the league by storm, quickly becoming a fan favorite thanks to his athleticism, playmaking ability, and off-court personality. But it's the same personality that's gotten the 6'2" hooper in trouble. Recently, Ja was suspended for 8 games by the NBA for conduct detrimental to the league, after he posted a video of himself flashing a gun on Instagram Live. Prior to this, Morant was being investigated for assaulting a 17-year-old at a pickup game in his hometown. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. Morant has a history of violent and antisocial behavior that completely contradicts the image of a talented young man raised by 2 loving parents in a quiet South Carolina suburb. Stay tuned as we uncover the truth behind the many incidents that have shaped the young baller's career. But before we dive into Morant's recent troubles, let's start by taking a closer look at how he got here. Morant was born on August 10, 1999 in Dalzell, South Carolina. Growing up, basketball was always a big part of his life. His father, T. Morant, had been high school teammates with Ray Allen and played at Claflin University. Morant's mom was herself a high school point guard and played softball in college. After playing semi-professionally, T. Morant considered going overseas to play, but when Jamie became pregnant with Ja, he abandoned his basketball career and stayed home, becoming a barber instead. As a youngster, Ja and his siblings would often shoot hoops together in their backyard, with T taking Ja under his wing and developing the young boy's game. He often faced older kids, and his mom remembers a young Ja telling her, "I'm not worried about the big kids." Morant played in the AAU circuit with the South Carolina Hornets and was even teammates with future NBA powerhouse Zion Williamson for a season. Morant attended Crestwood High School in Sumter, South Carolina, where he quickly made a name for himself on the court. As a junior, he averaged 27 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists per game, earning him a spot on the All-State team. He followed that up with an even more impressive senior season, averaging 36 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists per game, and leading Crestwood to a 21-4 record. Despite his impressive high school career, Morant was largely unheralded by major college programs. He received offers from a few mid-major schools, but ultimately decided to attend Murray State University in Kentucky. While there, it didn't take long for Morant to make his mark. In his freshman year, he averaged 12.7 points, 6.5 rebounds, and 6.3 assists per game, leading the Racers to a 28-5 record and an appearance in the NCAA tournament. But it was his sophomore season that really put Morant on the map. He led the NCAA in assists with 10 per game, while also averaging 24.5 points and 5.7 rebounds per game. He was named a consensus All-American and finished second in the voting for the Naismith Trophy, which is awarded to the best player in college basketball. After that incredible season, Morant cleared for the NBA draft and was selected second overall by the Memphis Grizzlies. He's been a crucial part of the team ever since, averaging 18.4 points, 3.9 rebounds, and 7.4 assists per game in his rookie season, even earning Rookie of the Year honors for his performance. On the court, Ja has always displayed a level head and mature disposition. Of course, he's no stranger to trash talking, but when you play hoops at any level, you understand that it's a part of the game. That's why so many fans were left shocked when the news broke of Ja being investigated for punching a 17-year-old boy after a friendly pickup game in his hometown. Taking place in the summer of 2022, Morant is accused of repeatedly punching a young hooper in the head after a ball was thrown at him. The then 3-year NBA pro claims he was acting in self-defense after the youngster made threats directed at Ja. But come on. In a police report filed by the unnamed 17-year-old, Morant allegedly went back into his house where the incident took place and came back with a gun visible in his waistband, an obvious intimidation tactic. Prosecutors declined to file any charges, and Morant's agent said the allegations were unsubstantiated rumors and gossip, being put out by people motivated to tear Ja down and tarnish his reputation for their own financial gain. The boy's mother had demanded $20 million from Ja, but the charges were eventually dismissed. This came just 4 days after a security guard at a Memphis mall filed a police report alleging that Morant had threatened him while one of Ja's associates had shoved him. Again, no arrests were made, but you know what they say. Where there's smoke, there's fire. And with repeat examples of Ja thugging out on people who really didn't deserve it, the case against Morant was beginning to mount. Now, it's important to understand the type of place Sumter, South Carolina is, as it will no doubt have played an important role in shaping the young Morant. Sumter is a city just east of Columbia and home to about 43,000 people. Like most mid-sized southern cities, Sumter is the kind of place where not a whole lot is happening. And with a crime rate 1.9 times higher than the national average, it's not hard to understand where a young Ja might have got some of his more violent tendencies from. Growing up around street dudes who use violence as a means to get what they want will no doubt have had an impact on the young player's psyche growing up. It's just, when the 19-year-old draft prospect was interviewed by the NBA on draft night, he described himself as a family man, owning to the way his parents raised him to be humble. Is this the same family man who once turned up to his sister's volleyball game with a whole gang of dudes threatening to beat up some high schoolers because they made fun of his sister? Yeah, that really happened. Back in September of 2022, that's right, only 2 months after he beat up a 17-year-old outside his home, Ja was again being investigated for assault. It seems like Ja has a type, as the NBA All-Star was accused of confronting a high schooler who allegedly called Morant's sister a derogatory name. It's alleged that Ja arrived at the school with an entourage of grown adults and threatened the high schooler with violence. In an interview with ESPN, Morant opened up with his side of the story. "That's my baby sister. I received a call and I was checking on her safety." He claims that once he knew his sister was safe, he left the school, and that because of his celebrity status, the situation got blown out of proportion. Ja would continue in that same interview, showing signs of remorse. "I realize now that's a problem, and I put myself in those situations." Despite not being charged, Morant says the incident caused his family's reputation to take a hit. No surprises there. However, with the new year came new allegations, and this time Morant couldn't help but let it seep into his work life. On January 29th, after the Grizzlies beat the Pacers 112-100, several Pacers staffers said they felt as though they were in grave danger after acquaintances of Morant aggressively confronted members of the Pacers traveling party near the team's bus in a loading area of the FedEx Forum. It was even alleged that later someone in a slow-moving SUV, which Morant was riding in, trained a red laser on them, although no mention was made to who exactly. The NBA looked into the situation and cleared Ja of any wrongdoing. But once again, Morant found himself embroiled in a scandal wherein he was the aggressor. Questions began to swirl. Was the NBA just covering for Ja because he was such a big draw? How could somebody on the cusp of NBA greatness continue to threaten it all by acting a fool? Well, Ja's luck would eventually run out in March of this year as the point guard finally got what was coming to him. On the 4th of March, Memphis got blown out by the best in the West, the Nuggets, and Morant decides to hit the strip club with some of his friends to take his mind off it. It was there that Ja decided to hop on Instagram Live in the early hours of Saturday morning and flash a pistol to his millions of followers. If there were any doubts about the gun flashing incident which took place a year earlier, they had surely now been put to rest. The league was quick to act, immediately suspending Ja for 2 games while a thorough investigation took place. Morant suspended his primary social media accounts and released a statement saying he would be taking some time away to reflect and receive help. "I take full responsibility for my actions last night. I'm sorry to my family, teammates, coaches, fans, partners, the city of Memphis, and the entire Grizzlies organization for letting you down. I'm going to take some time away to get help and work on learning better methods of dealing with stress and my overall well-being." Since then, the league has decided to suspend the Grizzlies star for 8 games total, but this includes the games he's already missed. Morant has since stated how sorry he is and understands the damage he's done, not just to his name, but to his family, the fans, and the organization. Fans and analysts have spoken out in support of the young superstar, putting a lot of his bad decision-making to the stresses of fame and the need to fit in as a young, successful black man in America. Morant has certainly made some mistakes in his past, but do you think he's been punished enough? Do you think he deserves a second chance at being a good role model? Only time will tell, and right now, the ball is in Ja's court.